When I get stories like this, that a marriage has lasted a decade or longer, and boom, someone cheats and everything is done in a flash. This is one of the reasons men are not getting married in 2024. Marriage is a risk these days. Update 1. The beginning of the end. After investing nearly 2 decades into a marriage, you develop an intricate understanding of someone's patterns, their subtle tells, and the rhythm of their daily existence. My position with the City of Manchester's Public Works Department keeps me occupied with infrastructure projects, endless meetings, and regular site visits across the city, creating a predictable structure that I've grown accustomed to over the years. Every weekday, I return at precisely 5:30 p.m. to our modest colonial-style home, nestled in the quiet suburbs of Bedford, New Hampshire, a routine that had seemed comforting rather than monotonous for the past 19 years. She dedicated her professional life to managing an upscale apartment complex in downtown Manchester, handling everything from tenant negotiations to property maintenance, which kept her equally busy with the structured schedule of her own. While we weren't living an extraordinarily exciting life, we had settled into a comfortable existence that seemed to provide everything we needed, or so I believed. Her adult son from a previous relationship had established his own life in Boston, and we never had children of our own, though neither of us openly acknowledged the void this might have created in our relationship. The subtle shifts in our marriage began to surface in January, when she started expressing discontent about the repetitive nature of her daily existence, often mentioning how life seemed to be passing her by. One particularly memorable evening, she looked up from her phone and declared, "I'm 49 years old, and my entire life revolves around work and coming home to the same 4 walls." A statement I should have recognized as the first warning sign of impending changes. February brought the introduction of what she called girls' nights with her coworkers, initially occurring every other Thursday at various locations around Manchester. The frequency of these outings increased steadily through March, with the Goat Bar and Grill on Old Granite Street becoming their regular haunt, and she would return home slightly intoxicated, but seemingly rejuvenated. By April, these evenings began stretching longer into the night, and she would come home carrying the distinct scent of cigarettes, despite having quit smoking nearly a decade ago. Her smartphone became an extension of her hand, always positioned face down on surfaces, but perpetually within her reach, protected by a new password that I tried to guess, but was never able to get in. I didn't dare try too many times, or her phone would disable for a bit, and that would let her know someone was trying to get into her phone. The arrival of May coincided with spring showers and a cascade of noticeable changes. Designer clothing appeared in her closet without explanation. High-end handbags materialized despite our modest combined income, and her appearance began transforming through unexplained weight loss and renewed attention to makeup application. She also started wearing clothes that fit her rather nicely. My wife wasn't overweight by any means. Late-night message notifications became a constant soundtrack to our evenings, all dismissed as work group chats or friend group chats when I would question their frequency or timing. Update 2. The unraveling. The first concrete evidence of her infidelity emerged in June when a routine update of the tablet we both used revealed dozens of undeleted email exchanges between her and 2 separate Gmail addresses, their contents destroying any remaining illusion of our marriage's stability. The messages revealed regular encounters with James, a wealthy contractor who frequently visited her apartment complex under the guise of property assessment, and Michael, a regular patron she had met during her evenings at the Goat. Their correspondence contained explicit details of meetings at the Residence Inn on South Willow Street, where the 3 of them would engage in encounters that shattered every assumption I had about our marriage and her character. Following my lawyer's advice, I meticulously documented everything, downloading copies to my work email and securing backups on multiple cloud drives, ensuring that every piece of evidence would be preserved for the inevitable confrontation. The subsequent week became an exercise in emotional endurance as I maintained our normal routine, sharing meals and watching television while she continued messaging her lovers, oblivious to my knowledge of her betrayal. Acting on legal counsel, I installed surveillance cameras throughout our common areas, a perfectly legal action in New Hampshire, and began recording her phone conversations whenever she was in shared spaces of our home. Each day brought new revelations as I observed her intricate web of deceptions. Working late became code for meetings with James, while girls' night signaled rendezvous with Michael, and sometimes both men simultaneously. Update 3. The Investigation. July's discoveries painted an even more detailed picture of her duplicity through credit card statements revealing purchases from Victoria's Secret, expensive dinner dates at restaurants I'd never visited, and numerous hotel room charges at various establishments around Manchester. Their meeting locations expanded beyond the Residence Inn to include the DoubleTree on Elm Street and the Holiday Inn Express in Bedford, all carefully chosen within a convenient radius of our home. The private investigator I hired provided comprehensive documentation of their encounters, capturing photographs and detailed logs of meetings that occurred with shocking regularity throughout the summer months. Their pattern typically began with drinks at upscale establishments like La Carreta Mexican, Cotton, or Republic, places that held memories of our own date nights before moving to their preferred hotels for encounters that would last until midnight or sometimes into the following morning. Each late return home was accompanied by elaborate explanations about tenant emergencies or work crises, delivered with a casualness that demonstrated how comfortable she had become with deception. Update 4. The Confrontation. On August 15th, a humid Thursday evening, I positioned myself in the Residence Inn parking lot, knowing they had reserved room 412 for another planned encounter. After watching their 3 vehicles arrive within minutes of each other, I allowed an hour to pass before placing a call to the room from the lobby phone, interrupting their rendezvous with a fabricated emergency that required her immediate return home. She arrived 20 minutes later, her appearance betraying the rushed departure from her lovers, to find me seated at our dining room table, with my laptop with a slideshow, displaying the comprehensive evidence of her infidelity. The color drained from her face as she scrolled through emails, photographs, and receipts that documented months of calculated deception, her attempts at explanation dying in her throat. 3 weeks later, I handed her the divorce papers at her job and asked her to sign them. My terms were simple: sign the papers and agree to a private resolution, or face the humiliation of having every detail exposed in court, a choice that prompted her immediate capitulation. Update 5. The Aftermath. The divorce proceedings concluded swiftly by December, with New Hampshire's no-fault system and our comprehensive evidence facilitating a clean separation of assets and property. The fallout extended beyond our marriage as her son severed communication upon learning of her infidelity. Her employer terminated her position after discovering the misuse of vacant apartments, and James's wife received similar evidence packets from my attorney, leading to the dissolution of their marriage as well. My decision to relocate to Portsmouth represented more than just a change of address. It symbolized a complete break from the life we had shared and the beginning of my independent journey. In reflecting on the dissolution of 19 years of marriage, I have come to understand that the real threat to modern marriages isn't external pressures or social changes, but the quiet erosion of trust and respect that occurs when partners choose momentary excitement over lifelong commitment. This realization explains why many men hesitate to marry in 2024, not because of changing social dynamics or cultural shifts, but because they've witnessed how quickly decades of trust can unravel through deliberate choices and calculated deceptions. If I had the choice of getting married again, I don't think I would. I don't care how good the relationship is. I am not doing it. Almost 2 decades of my life to a woman who all of a sudden got bored. I will never take that chance again.